All right, my friends, I have four big stories for you, and I'm not sure how to even describe it. Like the last story is a story that I was like, okay, that's a big story. But then the one before that's even more amazing, and before that's even more amazing, and before that more amazing. Here's the first. The International Criminal Court has issued warrants for former Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and General Staff Chief Valery Gerasimov. It's true. It's not just on Twitter. Here's CNN. International Criminal Court issues this. International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for former Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov, for alleged international crimes, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. The court said on Tuesday the pair were allegedly responsible for two war crimes, directing attacks against civilian objects and causing excessive incidental harm to civilians. Russian state news agency TASS quoted the Security Council of Russia, the government body currently headed by Shoigu, as calling the ICC decision, quote, null and void. It's meaningless as the ICC's jurisdiction does not extend to Russia, and the decision was made within the framework of the West hybrid war against our country, TASS quoted the body as saying. Okay, but Shoigu and Gerasimov can't travel outside of Russia to any of these ICC treaty-obligated countries. Yes, I understand Russia's not a party to it, neither is the U.S., neither is Ukraine for that matter, but it's going to make it difficult for them to travel, and when this war is over, they're going to be prosecuted. So now that's really the kicker here. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the decision shows that no military rank or cabinet door can shield Russian criminals from accountability. And honestly, what they've been doing has been criminal. I mean, attacking an apartment building is a war crime. Attacking a hospital or a kindergarten or whatever, these are war crimes. Andrei Yermak, the head of Ukraine's presidential office, said Shoigu and Gerasimov were being held individually responsible. This is an important decision. Everyone will be held accountable for evil, he said in a statement. Okay, so that's where we are with that. And it's really interesting to understand that what's actually happening there is that even Shoigu was fired from a job for which he will be held as a war criminal after the war. Like that, wrap your mind around that. Okay. Big story number two, Zalinsky replaces AFU Joint Forces commander amid criticism and military failures. So this guy here, he is been replaced. His name is General Sodal as the commander of the Armed Forces of Ukraine Joint Forces. Now, he's not the top guy, but he's being replaced by Brigadier General Andrei Natov. This was Zelensky. I have decided to replace Ukrainian Armed Forces Joint Forces commander, Lieutenant General Yuri Sodal, with Brigadier General Andrei Natov, Zelensky announced on Telegram. Now, what happened just before that is what's really interesting about this particular story. Sodal had been the Joint Forces commander since February 2024. His tenure faced criticism from military observers. Activists called his appointment a personnel disaster. Chief of Staff of the Azov National Guard Brigade has formally requested the State Bureau of Investigation to investigate Lieutenant General Sodal. Like, this what happened just before that, and that call for the investigation may be the trigger. In a Telegram post, Krovich, that's the chief of the Azov, accuses the unnamed general of abuse of office and incompetent command, which he claimed led to significant territorial losses and the death of numerous Ukrainian soldiers. Quote, I called for an investigation into one military general who, in my opinion, caused more Ukrainian casualties than any Russian general. I don't care if they investigate me or put me in jail, Krovich said in his statement. That's powerful stuff, right? I mean, so that Azov chief is calling for the investigation of this guy because he's just incompetent or just has sacrificed too many Ukrainian lives. Khrushchev accused the general of targeting commanders who perform well while avoiding accountability for his own failures. Look, that's not unique to Ukraine. That's what bad managers do universally wherever they are. This person, he says, quote, this person begins investigations against commanders who advance and do not lose their positions, but he does not initiate internal investigations against himself. Khrushchev wrote, concluding in his own statement, the Rubicon has been crossed. Okay, so that's what's going on there. It looks like the guy that they've replaced him with seems to be fairly competent. Okay, big story number 3. Two top advisors to former President Donald Trump have proposed a plan that would cease military aid to Ukraine unless it agrees to hold peace negotiations with Russia. Reuters reported on June 25th, citing the advisors General Keith Kellogg and Fred Fleets. Trump, who is the presumptive Republican nominee for president, has repeatedly suggested he would end the war within 24 hours if elected, but has so far refrained from detailing the specifics of his plan. Well, this is the plan. Kellogg and Fleets, who previously served in the National Security Council in the Trump administration, said the proposed ceasefire would freeze the front lines in their current positions. This is like rewarding the aggressor for having been aggressive. Fleets said Trump reacted positively to the plan, but added, quote, "I'm not claiming that he agreed with it or agreed with every word of it," unquote, but that's basically the plan. Only statements from the Trump campaign should be taken as official policy positions, but that's pretty much the outline of the plan. In a policy paper released by the Trump-affiliated America First Policy Institute in April, one of the elements of the paper was that Ukraine's NATO accession would be taken off the table for, quote, an extended period in exchange for a comprehensive and verifiable peace deal with security guarantees. But didn't we already have the Budapest Memorandum, which was supposed to be a peace deal where Russia, the US, and the UK would verify Ukraine's borders? And that didn't work. So don't do this, because this is just going to give time for Russia to go back, reboot, and come back again later on. It's only a temporary peace in our times peace plan. A ceasefire is a trap, Zelensky said earlier in June. Putin recently explicitly outlined his own ceasefire conditions, which included Ukraine withdrawing from Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, and dump NATO as an idea. That's Putin's idea of the peace plan. So come to the table for that. That seems like an absolutely terrible idea. The paper by Kellogg and Fleets also repeatedly referenced an unsubstantiated theory that NATO expansion triggered Russia's full-scale invasion, which Trump also mentioned in an interview earlier in June, and that was also repeated by pro-Putin talking point repeaters as well. So it's a terrible idea, and I hope it gets zero traction. Of course, the Kremlin says that any Trump peace plan for Ukraine would have to reflect the reality on the ground. Dmitry Peskov said, quote, "The value of any plan lies in the nuances and in taking into account the real state of affairs on the ground." Of course, that means that Russia would get to keep huge swaths of Ukrainian territory. And of course, Putin is saying that he wants to stop the conflict, literally right now, but only on his terms, which is he gets to keep those 4 new oblasts and Ukraine's not part of NATO. Okay, last big story. So it's beginning, and I stress it's only a beginning. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen wishes Ukraine and Moldova successful start to negotiations on the accession of the 2 candidates to the European Union. Congratulations to Moldova and Ukraine on opening accession negotiations. This is very good news for the people of Ukraine, Moldova, and the entire European Union. But again, this is just a start. Charles Michel, the president of the European Council, says, quote, "We are witnessing an historic moment today following the decision of the European Council of December 2023 to open accession negotiations with Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova. The 2 countries are embarking on true transformation to full EU membership, a proud moment for both nations," he said. But, he continued, "While today we celebrate a significant step forward, we must also recognize that the road ahead will require sustained effort, dedication, and further substantial reform." So it's just a starting point, but it's still a very positive step for Ukraine. Now, the fascinating thing about this article was that this would have been the big news if there wasn't even bigger news in all the previous articles. Last little thing that I want to show you today. Here's a joke. Putin asks, "Tell me in one word how the war is going." And Shoigu and Gerasimov say, "Good." "Tell me in 2 words. Not good." Okay, my friends, thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.